Hello, party people.
Yo.
We're back. It's been a while, per usual. I have a life, so it becomes hard to do these things. However, a lot of movies came out. I know you're probably wondering if any of them are worth your time or money. Well, I'm going to give you the rundown of a couple of them and let you know what I think. Logan here has also seen most of these. He's also going to weigh in. So hopefully you will feel like you have a well-rounded opinion before spending your hard-earned money on these movies. Um,
Or, illegally downloading them online. I don't judge.
I mean, you may have to do that if Sony pulls more movies. Anyway, so uh, I suppose we will start back last month with Christopher Nolan's latest film, Interstellar. Um, Interstellar is about a group of astronauts who go on an intrepid mission to find a habitable world to populate the human race, or in effect, save the human race, because agricultural blight and dust storms and crop failures have basically made Earth untenable.
The only thing these people have to eat is corn.
Lots of they've got corn like on lock. There's like a lot of corn. It didn't make any sense. But
talking corn bread, corn souffle, probably corn cereal.
It was kind of like,
and not the good kind, like corn pops, like literally corn with just water.
It was a lot of corn. I mean, I guess if you love your grits, you had those. So whenever a Christopher Nolan movie comes out, there's this weird like subculture of people that just hate Christopher Nolan because it's like a trendy thing to do. Usually it's because his movies just go over their head, and you can't just say, hey, I'm stupid, so you've got to come up with something. So there were detractors who say the last hour of the movie doesn't make any sense, or there's people it's way too long. I don't like Matthew McConaughey. That's the weakest argument of the bunch. But Anne Hathaway's fugly. All these like goofy things that people throw out that just kind of like have nothing to do with the movie, but they hope that it will distract you from the fact that like they either didn't watch the movie or they're just too dumb to comprehend it. Like,
you mean like the people that think it was all a dream?
Yeah, there's this weird phenomenon when a Christopher Nolan movie comes out where everyone thinks it's a dream. Like, that happens, like, with every movie. And I think it was a dream, like, precisely, and none of them ended in a dream. So, yeah.
People stupid.
But, to get to the actual movie, Interstellar is one of the best movies I have ever seen in my life, period. Audacious, big, grand, spectacle, epic filmmaking. At its heart, it's about a father's relationship with his daughter. There's a lot of cool theoretical physics thrown in. Wonderful visual effects. Nolan, who's not a big fan of CGI, actually had a big wraparound IMAX screen, and he actually kind of built a spaceship that was kind of on a one of those gimbal thingies, and it allowed the actors to move around in this virtual environment he created. This guy's just, I mean, he's with like Tarantino and Fincher and like this generation, like he's right up there. Is like one of the very, very best. And when it comes to like scale and immensity and size, nobody tops Christopher Nolan. This is probably his most ambitious movie he's made. It kind of does remind you of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's kind of the only thing you might want to compare it to. There was a movie in the 80s that you may have seen called The Right Stuff. Just big, grand movies. Contact in the mid-90s kind of reminds me a little bit of Interstellar. That also had Matthew McConaughey, who, by the way, in the movie is absolutely terrific. McConaughey and his McConaissance is just continuing. Everything the man has done in the last 2 years has just been beautiful. He won the Oscar last year, was nominated for the Emmy. He's just been on a roll. You just can't stop him. And he is Oscar worthy in this movie too. He's ably supported by Michael Caine and Anne Hathaway. Jessica Chastain's phenomenal. Casey Affleck. They're all great. The score is incredible. There's surprise cameos from people that you didn't expect to see in the movie, which was real suspect and shady. But I mean, there's the only way I can sum up this movie. It's an experience. It has to be seen on the big screen. The last 45 minutes of the movie are kind of like, whoa, you better like hold on, pay attention, listen to everything, because they're going to explain what's happening. But if you're just that much behind the narrative, you're not going to get it. You're not going to pick up on it. Don't listen to the negative reviews. Without exception, they were all from people who didn't get the ending. I've heard people say that they just had problems with parts of the movie, and I'd really love for them to elaborate on what parts of those were, because it's a movie, and it seems like no one wants to criticize Nolan movies as movies. They start with a weird baseline assumption of them being something other than that. They're just Hollywood movies. It's all based on theoretical physics. So all these like armchair scientists that came out of the closet talking about how it was unscientific. Well, I mean, it's based on theory. Your argument's invalid. And basically this is what I think of when I think of Interstellar. This incredible score, which hopefully will be nominated for an Oscar. Hans Zimmer has done it again, as he always does. This is the most exciting scene of the movie. This is what the man chose to bring out for us. Great movie. Anyways, so Interstellar, A+++++. If there was a letter before A, that's what Interstellar would be. Terrific movie. Never seen a perfect movie. I've said that a million times. Never seen a perfect movie. It's in that upper echelon of being very close to that. So, switching gears, another big movie that we had come out recently was Exodus, Gods and Kings, which is, of course, a modern update of the Exodus story found in the Bible, starring Christian Bale as Moses, Joel Edgerton as Ramesses the Pharaoh, directed by Ridley Scott of Alien and Blade Runner and Gladiator fame. Okay. We all remember Noah, right? In my review, hopefully you remember that. And how terrible it was, and how I thought it was pretentious and just goofy and just totally mixed, and had a lot of high hopes for Ridley Scott's Exodus. Before I kind of go into some of the negative aspects of the film, I would like to turn it over to Logan, who liked it a little bit more than I did, and he'll kind of give you the positives of the movie. And then I will explain to you some of the things I thought didn't work quite as well. I think both of us overall liked it. I think Logan liked it a little more. I'm kind of 60-40 on it.
It's the best movie I saw about Egypt that day, so...
True. We watched The Pyramid, which...
Allow me. No, B! No. Oh, no.
No, B.
Ooh. Long story short, Anubis was killing everybody. It was real stupid. The CGI was horrible. The acting was slightly subpar. And, it was just bad. It was nonsensical. I would have rather watched The Mummy 3.
Right?
That lets you know everything you need to know. That movie had Yetis.
So, okay. Christian Bale's a good actor. For the most part, he does a good job. He's solid. It's not one of his better performances, but he's solid. There's a couple of moments where he gets a little cheesy, a little Batman-tastic, but for the most part, it's fine. Joel Edgerton's a good actor. It kind of feels a little bit... Not because... I mean, he's a good actor, but he kind of seems a little misplaced, because he's... I don't know. Aaron Paul is in the movie, but he has like 3 lines. Same with Sigourney Weaver. She's just kind of there. Um, the Ben Kingsley only has a couple of lines. It's like the really really talented supporting cast is very heavily underutilized. It feels like the first act of the movie gets off to kind of like a rousing start. The scale is there. It's not quite as epic as Rome looked in Gladiator.
It's pretty much like Ridley Scott cast these people because he knew people would show up to watch a movie with Sigourney Weaver.
But it was kind of
Ben Kingsley and John Turturro.
Yeah, it was kind of deceptive though, because John Turturro's in it for like all of 5 seconds. You blink, you miss him, and it's kind of like that first 15, 20 minutes of the movie starts really kind of like awesome. It's Egypt. It's Ridley Scott. I'm gonna suspend my disbelief. I'm not gonna pull out the lazy whitewashing argument to bash the movie before I've even watched it. Like I'm going to watch this movie, and I'm gonna be into it. It's gonna be cool. And then about 40 minutes into it, it kind of like loses its footing, and Ridley Scott's kind of known for like uneven pacing. Sometimes it works extremely well, and sometimes it just doesn't. But this one, the movie's very schizophrenic because at this point, it becomes like a series of this worked, I liked this, but this didn't work. God, spoiler alert, is sort of portrayed as like a 12-year-old angelic messenger kid thingy. He's kind of petulant and angry, and he kind of like represents, I think, Ridley Scott's own agnosticism, kind of butting heads with the faith through line of the story and that is in the movie. And I feel like at this point, that contention between Ridley Scott's like agnosticism that he injected into the movie and the fact that at its bedrock this story is grounded in faith, I think that those two intersect really in an uneven way, and I wish one of them had kind of won out. I wish the agnosticism had kind of been the theme, or faith had been the theme. I think what he was trying to say is that the journey to faith, or the journey of being an agnostic, is not altogether mutually exclusive from the journey of faith. I think that's what he was getting at. I just don't think it worked very well. You started to lose the supporting cast in the middle act of the movie. The dialogue kind of there was, but then again, the cool things, because like I said, it was schizophrenic. There were good things about it. The plagues, that was really cool. Pharaoh's people kind of give him some really interesting semi-scientific explanations for what could be going on as to why, like logical explanations as to why there could be plagues. And you're watching it and you're kind of like, maybe so. And there is kind of this, is Moses really seeing God? Is all of this happening the way Moses is thinking it's happening? And it does kind of toy with that, which sort of feeds back into the agnosticism versus faith debate. But it kind of is, it's just very mixed. The movie is very, very mixed. And by the time you get to the third act, if you're hoping for a rehash of Cecil B. DeMille's epic parting of the Red Sea effect, you don't get that. It was kind of weird the way they did it. I don't know.
I just choose to believe that the Avatar was downwind, so he had to call it water.
That was kind of what I was thinking too, actually. But you know, the end of the movie, the last conversation between God and Moses was maybe their best conversation in the whole movie. And then the movie, I don't know. Like, it looked good. It was handled the way you would expect someone of Ridley Scott's caliber to handle it. But again, it just didn't. It's very uneven, and I feel like it was better than Noah, which was horrible, but it was not what you would have hoped for. It wasn't the best movie it could have been. And if you look at, there's a trend of really great Hollywood directors totally failing to make good Hollywood adaptations of biblical stories for numerous reasons, for different reasons. Martin Scorsese's only bad movie is The Last Temptation of Christ. Darren Aronofsky's only terrible movie is Noah. And one of Ridley Scott's only iffy movies is now Exodus. So it's kind of like, maybe this isn't what Hollywood needs to be focused on right now. or they need to approach it from a different direction if that's what they're going to do. I had absolutely no fundamentalist Christian problems with the movie whatsoever. I didn't mind God coming across like an angry child. I didn't mind any of that. God in the Old Testament kind of does come across like that. I mean, that's kind of the way that. I mean, especially you have to understand, like, if you're looking at it from the perspective of someone who doesn't, like Ridley Scott, who doesn't believe the Bible like the way that, like a Christian would. That's, I mean, God seems very, like, bipolar and really angry. I mean, it's, so
I like it this way. Everybody pretty much knows the story of Moses. I don't need a biblically accurate portrayal of it. If I want accurate, I'll just read the Bible or watch Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt is a pretty spectacular. Ten Commandments was. If you want the Bible story, read the watch the Ten Commandments. Prince of Egypt is also great for your kids.
A ball and action movie with Moses killing a bunch of people.
You did get
looking like a badass.
You did get that. It was kind of like Gladiator a little bit.
Christian Bale was awesome. Joel Edgerton was awesome. Honestly, only negative thing I have to say about the movie, if you're gonna have Sigourney Weaver and Ben Kingsley and John Turturro and Aaron Jesse Pinkman Paul in your movie, use them. Don't just have them show up, spout some dialogue, and then leave. Like, yeah, it's a waste.
Definitely.
And besides that, solid B+ movie.
I gave it a C+. Moving on, The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies, the last installment in the Hobbit trilogy, came out this week. Watched the marathon, watched the new movie. It was the best of the three. It was the closest Peter Jackson got to the feeling of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy. It connected nicely to Fellowship of the Ring. There was some nice foreshadowing and setup for the next trilogy. I really enjoyed it. The battle sequences looked like you would imagine Peter Jackson, who's just really perfected those large-scale battle sequences look like. Still, complaints about the movie, kind of like too much CGI. But, this one, because of all the exposition in the first two, it was quicker pace, which was cool. Everyone's performances were great. Gandalf continued his trend of being useless. The elves continued their trends of being kind of douchey. Thranduil was totally douchey.
Oh, I thought you said dwarves.
No, the elves.
Thranduil is,
the elves.
Douche.
He was a douche on a moose. Legolas,
douche.
Which is funny because he's mellowed out some by the time we get him in Lord of the Rings. Didn't have any problems with it. Not really, other than the CGI. Good movie. So, hope you guys go and check that out. It's your last chance to, knock on wood, it's probably your last chance to see a Middle-earth movie from Peter Jackson in a theater, so go check it out.
It kind of needs to be the last time.
So yeah, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, good movie. If you like the first two, you're going to love this one. If you like Lord of the Rings, you should like it. I know some people who disagree with this, but I read the book and liked the book, and I liked the movies that they made out of the one book. Did it need to be 3? Nope. Was there a lot of stuff that they could have cleaved out of, especially out of the first one, which was kind of boring? Sure. Was it a good adaptation? One of the best adaptations I've ever seen. And that's where I come down on that. So, The Hobbit. In conclusion, we also watched Top 5, the Chris Rock movie. It was really funny. Don't take your kids to see it. It would be very inappropriate for them to watch that. Chris Rock is a pretty funny guy. It did kind of have that thing where, like, the whole script just felt like a stand-up routine. But it's Chris Rock. You can forgive him for that because that's who he is. Tracy Morgan was in it. That was cool because, who knows when we're going to see Tracy Morgan again. Cedric the Entertainer was hilarious. Kevin Hart's very brief part was funny. Rosario Dawson, she's cool. Good movie. Wanted to briefly comment on the interview scandal. Kind of hope Sony's just trolling and they're still going to release the movie. They claimed that the theater chains were the ones who were like, we're not showing the movie. So for those of you who don't understand, like Sony has to go through the theater chains like Regal, AMC, whatever, to show the movie. Like Sony is not a theater chain. They can't show the movie. So Sony backed off and pulled the movie after like Regal and AMC and everybody else caved. That was a stupid decision on the part of those companies, and it's a stupid decision on the part of Sony to cave. They claim they're exploring other options to release the movie. This is a dangerous precedent for free speech or free expression. This should not be controversial. There should be no one who sides with not showing this movie. You need to like really, really reevaluate your position. I'm being as serious as I can be. If you really think the movie shouldn't be shown, that's kind of a dangerously naive position to hold. So going forward, the year is ending, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. I've never met anyone who celebrates Kwanzaa, but Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. And I will be posting my top 10 of the year on the 30th or 31st of the year. Many, many movies I hope to see that didn't get to see this year, unfortunately. So my top 10 will not be quite as well-rounded as it was, but gotta go.
Not a single one
Live
of you better go
calls.
watch Annie.